I would argue that evil is actually indirect proof that God exists. Here's the proof. Number one, if God does not exist, objective moral values do not exist. Atheists and theists concur on this. 2, evil exists. 3, therefore, objective values do exist. Some things are really evil. 4, therefore, God exists. So that paradoxically, even though evil in one sense calls into question God's existence, in a deeper sense it actually demonstrates God's existence, because without God there wouldn't be any foundation for calling anything evil.
Some people think that the most one of the most compelling arguments against the existence of God is that there's evil in the world. I actually think it's one of the best arguments in favor of the existence of God. And here's why. When people raise the problem of evil, I always ask them, what do they mean by evil? A lot of times they'll give illustrations of it. I say, no, I don't mean an illustration. I mean a definition. And then they're a little more hard-pressed. And when you think about it for a while, you realize that, well, what evil is that things aren't the way they ought to be. They aren't good like they should be, but they've departed from good. And so it turns out that evil is a departure from good. Now keep in mind that the objection for evil is based on the existence of evil as a real feature of the world. It's not just a difference of opinion of people's subjective preferences with morality. It is a matter of dealing with the real problem of evil in the world. Now, what this means then is if somebody raises the objection to the problem of evil, there must be a standard of good that is transcendent, that is in the world, from which evil turns out to be a departure. So somebody says there's a problem of evil, which means that somebody has departed from a standard of good. C.S. Lewis said, I wouldn't have known what crooked was unless I knew what straight was. You don't know a bad portrait unless you know what the original likeness was like, and the one doesn't match to the other. And it turns out then that in order for somebody to complain about the problem of evil, there must be some transcendent standard of good that it departs from. That, I think, can only be the case if God exists. So the irony is one can't even, in a coherent way at least, raise the question of the problem of evil unless there first is a God that gives a definition of what good is, and such evil that departs from it, raising problems for us. So the problem of evil depends upon the existence of God even to be a coherent problem. I think it should be answered, and I think it can be answered. But keep in mind that it doesn't even make sense to raise the problem unless God exists first to define what good is.